He played Trump derangement syndrome as present as ever. And so many people out of work and on the sick, and now there's plans to put job advisors in GP surgeries to get people back to work. Is that a good idea or not? And Keir Starmer, after making out the digital ID was all about illegal migration, I mean, please, you didn't fall for that one, did you? He now actually says that, guess what? They could be used for a whole lot more. Who didn't see that coming? Your thoughts? All of that and lots more keeping me company tonight. The former editor of The Sun, Kelvin McKenzie, alongside him, the co-founder of Novara Media, Aaron Bastani. But before we get stuck in, here's your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Thank you very much. The top stories. Donald Trump has hailed a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East and says Gaza will be redone. The US president added all 20 surviving captives will be home by Monday or Tuesday. Donald Trump told his cabinet, we're going to go to Egypt, where we'll have an additional signing. He explained that the agreement has already been signed, but this will be an official signing. Israel and Hamas agreed to phase 1 of his Gaza peace deal earlier today to see all Israeli hostages and close to 2,000 Palestinian prisoners released, humanitarian aid enter Gaza, and Israeli forces pull back to agreed lines. The US leader also says Iran wants to work on peace.
Last night we reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday. Getting them is a complicated process. I'd rather not tell you what they have to do to get them. There are places you don't want to be, but we are getting the hostages back on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday.
The Prime Minister has personally thanked US President Donald Trump for his role in the plan to end the fighting in Gaza. Sir Keir Starmer praised the tireless diplomatic efforts of the US, of Egypt, Qatar and Turkey in moving towards peace. He says the first phase of the Gaza peace plan would not have happened without Donald Trump's leadership.
And I will take this opportunity to put on record my thanks to President Trump for his leadership on this, to the Qataris, to Egypt and Turkey, who've done really important work in the negotiations. It is a relief to the world, and I think particularly of the hostages who've been held a very long time and their families, and to all the civilians in Gaza who've been so affected by this conflict. And so it does now need to be implemented. And as for the next stages, we, the UK, stand ready to work with others on implementing the next stages.
The first group of removals of small boat migrants under the UK's migration deal with France have now taken place. The deal grants the UK decisive new powers to detain and rapidly remove individuals who enter illegally via small boats, blocking access to the UK asylum system. Over the past week, 2 group flights saw 19 individuals returned to France, following the successful returns of an additional 7 individuals in the last month. The second group flight arrived in France earlier today before continuing its journey to Eastern Europe as part of the government's schedule of returns flights. Further flights to France under this pilot scheme are scheduled to take place over the coming days and weeks. Sir Keir Starmer has been given a bold welcome in India, with streets in Mumbai lined with thousands of photos of him and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On his first visit to the country, he led a record delegation of more than 100 UK business, university and cultural leaders on a 2-day trade mission. He's been unveiling new business and film deals, saying the UK-India partnership could boost Britain's economy by almost £5 billion a year. Speaking on digital IDs as well, the Prime Minister told GBNews in his speech today that they're now about accessing your own money.
You could see from Estonia the speed with which people can access services that are available to them, which has been transformational, and there's great enthusiasm in Estonia for it. Here in India, I think it's 1 billion people have digital ID. It's been taken up on a voluntary basis in huge numbers. not least because it means that you can access your own money, make payments so much more easily than is available with others. So I think now we need to go out and make that case of the huge benefits that this will bring. There needs to be a national debate about it, and I think that the more people see the benefits that come with this, the more, as has happened in other countries, people say that will make my life easier.
Former DJ Tim Westwood has been charged with 4 counts of rape, according to the Metropolitan Police. The 68-year-old has also been charged with 9 counts of indecent assault and 2 counts of sexual assault. Westwood is due to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on November the 11th. The charges relate to 7 different women, the force said. And the Princess of Wales says smartphones and computer screens create an epidemic of disconnection within families. Kate's words, in an essay co-written with a Harvard professor, came ahead of an Oxford visit to highlight her work on early years education and support. In the piece, she says that while new technology has many benefits, we must also acknowledge that it plays a complex and often troubling role in this epidemic of disconnection. The Princess visited Home Start, Oxford, to meet volunteers and families and talked about how they're using resources and films produced by the Centre for Early Childhood to help parents and children. Those are the latest headlines for now. More in an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much for that, Tatiana. And hello and good evening to each and every single one of you. My name is Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co, keeping you company until 7 o'clock tonight. Alongside me, I've got my panel, the former editor of The Sun, Kelvin McKenzie, and alongside him, I've got the co-founder of Novara Media, Aaron Bastani. Good evening to both of you.
Hi there.
Also, each and every single one of you, you're very welcome tonight indeed, and you can join the conversation in all the usual ways. Email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. Go to the website, gbnews.com/your say. Of course, you can tweet and you can X me. Very important day when it comes to the Middle East, but also a very important day for me. It is my birthday and I've chosen to spend it with you guys. What an absolute treat for the nation. So I thought to myself it'd be a little bit rude for me not to open for one night only Dewberry Tavern. So I shall do that just towards the end of the programme. So you know what? I will raise a glass not just to myself but also to you. So if it's your birthday today or any of your loved ones, get in touch with me, drop me a line, make sure you write birthday or something in the subject and I'll give you a little shout out as well. All the very best people born on October the 9th, that's what I say. Anyway, look, very serious matters indeed, because we've discussed the conflict at length over in Gaza. Today, people with their fingers crossed, with bated breath, hoping that perhaps we may indeed have made a monumental step forward towards peace. Let's cross live to the US. Our correspondent Ben Leo is live there now. Good evening to you, Ben. We've just been hearing live from Donald Trump, and I shall play a clip of that in a moment, but him feeling very, very confident that we are taking steps towards lasting peace. Tell us more. What's the mood like there?
Yeah, good evening, Dewbs. Happy 30th as well. Many happy returns to you. It's been an extraordinary day here in the Washington, D.C., the capital. The cabinet meeting we heard just 30 minutes or so ago, Donald Trump taking victory laps on anything from gas prices, beating Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the election. But of course, the big highlight was the Gaza peace deal. Finally, imminently, we're expecting to hear from the Israeli War Cabinet, who are convening right now in Israel, where they will officially sign off on this peace deal. When that happens, which could happen any moment now, Michelle, maybe in the next hour or so, the hostages should be released Monday or Tuesday. The ceasefire should commence within 24 hours. And President Trump hailing this as one of the greatest achievements of not just his term since January, his 10 months in office, but his entire political career spanning back to 2016. He was saying that he's brought together all the countries in the Middle East who otherwise can't stand each other, the likes of Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE. He said for this one sole reason, they've all come together in unity and agreed to this deal. And he even had an olive branch for the likes of Iran as well, who said, we've heard from Iran in recent days and even they want to make peace. So it's an extraordinary moment. There were scenes of celebration in Gaza this morning, in Israel, and indeed on the streets of DC. You have to say that After 2.5 years, well, just over 2 years of bloodshed, of those poor hostages enduring what they've been enduring in captivity, the deaths of many civilians and children, and just on that point, President Trump said a figure of 70,000 people who had died in the Gaza war. So I know we often quote figures from the Hamas-run health authority, but President Trump inside that cabinet meeting saying it was around 70,000. Hopefully, Michelle, fingers crossed, all that could be coming to an imminent end, and Donald Trump describing today as a joyous day. We're just waiting officially for that Israeli cabinet meeting to finish in Israel now, and once they've signed it off, the ceasefire will start, and then on Monday and Tuesday we'll get the hostages. President Trump, by the way, just before I come back to you, he's flying to Israel this Sunday. He was hinting that maybe he could pop to Gaza for the release of those hostages, but we're hearing now reports from inside the White House that logistically and security-wise that just won't be possible.
Interesting stuff, Ben Lear, and I'm sure, of course, this will be covered in much more detail on the American programme much later on tonight with yourself and Beverly. For now, thank you very much. Let's just take a moment then, shall we, to hear from President Trump.
Last night we reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday. And the amazing thing is all of the countries over there, from Qatar to Saudi Arabia to UAE to all of them, I mean, the rich ones, the less than rich ones, they've all come together, something which is amazing, actually. They've all come together for this, and they're really probably the best relationships they've ever had. So it's been really something incredible that nobody thought it was possible to get it done. And you remember October 7th was terrible, but also from the Hamas standpoint, they probably lost 70,000 people. That's big retribution. That's big retribution. But at some point, that whole thing has to stop, and we're going to see to it. Gaza is going to be slowly redone. You have tremendous wealth in that part of the world by certain countries, and just a small part of that, what they make will do wonders for Gaza.
Aaron Bastani, I mean, if all of this goes according to plan, and of course the big word there is if, then this will be huge for the Middle East. Your thoughts?
It's really extraordinary. There are major concessions by both sides. I mean, 20 hostages that are still alive going back is incredible. I doubt many people foresaw that, at least of all the people themselves. Can you imagine enduring that for 2 years and actually making it back home alive? Incredible. And then on the other side, giving amnesty to the remaining Hamas fighters is a big gesture. I suspect there'll be people in the IDF and around Netanyahu saying we're going to pursue them, going forward over the coming months and years, and I'm sure they probably will. But right now, that's a major, major concession. So it's really, really positive. There's a lot that can go wrong. I'm sure some things will go wrong. The whole point is, when things don't go entirely as planned, can both parties stay on the right track? And that's what will determine whether or not this is a success. But on paper, the concessions being made are striking, and it's a real success with regards to statescraft.
Kelvin?
Well, the reality is that Hamas have been completely defeated, wiped out, no leadership, virtually nobody are now either A, prepared to fight for them, or B, still alive. So that is a massive plus as far as I'm concerned. The suggestion about whether Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize, which is an inevitable outcome of this, without a Trump, supposing Biden had been in office, would this deal have happened? I suspect it wouldn't have done. What I suspect would have happened is that Israel would have continued to pursue Hamas until there wasn't one single fighter still standing. So there might have been a peace deal in the end, but I think it'd be another 18 months. So I think Trump is absolutely entitled to his moment in the sun on this, and we should all be very grateful. Now, the next thing that happens, and after all, we've been through it with the Second World War, is that investment to go into Gaza, remake Gaza for the Gazans, and bring in investment on a commercial basis for whatever. Supposing there was a second Dubai there, I mean, everybody I know now has moved out of Dubai. Anybody with any money in this country is now in Dubai. Wouldn't it be incredible in 10 or 15 years' time if everybody who made any money here went out to Gaza? Because nobody's going to stay here if there's another Labour government. I just thought I'd put that in.
Just chuck that in. I'll come back to that rebuilding point in a second. But do you credit Donald Trump for this?
Oh, you have to. Here's another way.
People don't.
Well, here's another way of looking at it. If Joe Biden was in the White House and the US had negotiated a deal where all of the hostages go back and Hamas fighters, the ones that remain, were given amnesty, if that happened under Joe Biden, you can be absolutely guaranteed that The Guardian, the BBC, the New York Times would all be saying Joe Biden has to be winning the Nobel Peace Prize. They would be saying it in unison. And you know what? I think with some fairness. So, look, I think he's going to maybe miss the deadline for this year's Nobel Peace Prize. Because
I don't think that. I don't think that's true.
This hasn't actually happened yet.
No, but he has been nominated already for it.
Yeah, he has.
By Netanyahu, for instance, but also by Ukrainians and also by Swedes and Danes.
Forum, they've nominated him as well.
The Maltese foreign minister today.
Yeah, so it hasn't closed yet. But I've still seen a lot of people refusing to accept that Donald Trump is kind of responsible, certainly in large part, for this. So many people seem to be so blinded of a hatred of Donald Trump that he could literally, I think Donald Trump could literally single-handedly cure every disease and ailment that exists in society. No, I do. And people would still hate him. I do. That's what I do.
This idea that you have to be a wonderful, nice person to win the Nobel Peace Prize just isn't accurate. Henry Kissinger won it in 1973. And as much as you might dislike Donald Trump, believe me, he's responsible for far less suffering in the world than Henry Kissinger. So there's a precedent there. And I think this is, just to go back to the details, this is a real accomplishment of statescraft. If he's not going to win it, and I'm not suggesting he should win it, people need to give a very good alternative. And right now, look, there isn't that much peace in the world, so...
What do you think of this notion of Tony Blair being involved in the potential rebuild of Gaza?
Well, I was massively hostile, as was 99% of the country, against sending troops out to Iraq. And I think that's his legacy. And what is amazing about Blair is that Blair is not considered as vile in the Middle East, where he caused so much damage and disruption, as he is back in the UK. I was in Abu Dhabi, where he made a speech. And it was a speech which he'd made about half an hour earlier in Dubai. Anyway, at the end, he said, has anybody got any questions? And a lady stood up and said, yes, he said, why are you here claiming to be a peace envoy when you've brought nothing but warfare to the Middle East? Mm-hmm. At which point, the whole of about 3,000 people got up and cheered, right? So it is astonishing
but
that
what was
the
his
slippery...
that is a key question.
He's a politician. There was no answer. Oh. There was no answer. It was a brilliant piece of old nonsense. And what is incredible is how is it that he's now wandering around the Middle East as an alleged peacemaker? He must be one of the great politicians that perhaps that's what this country, all that it does. It produces politicians. It produces Blairs. It produces, Margaret Thatcher. It produces somebody else. But, I'm massively hostile to him having any part at all in the Middle East.
Aaron?
I'm particularly hostile given the fact that you've got the Tony Blair Institute. They're advising 40 countries around the world. They have more than 1,000 staff. They have a turnover, this think tank of his, a turnover annually of about $150 million. They're funded by Larry Ellison, who's given them, I think, the best part of goodness knows what, hundreds of millions he's promised. This man was briefly the world's wealthiest person. I don't like the fact that Tony Blair, who seems to be acting at the behest of one of the world's wealthiest people, look at ID cards in this country, would have that kind of power over these poor people. And you know what? There are lots of really talented diplomats that have worked for Britain or for Sweden or for the United States or all manner of countries, or people that work at the UN or the OECD or other former heads of state. I'm not his biggest fan, but I have to say, Tony Blair, this man is very good at not alienating people somehow. Alistair Campbell was saying that Donald Trump is Hitler 2.0. He worked for Blair. Blair never made that mistake. Blair never called him all these names under the sun, and it's benefited him in the end.
Well, what do you make to it? I can see things lighting up when I mention Tony Blair. You have very strong
We lost
opinions.
170 British people out in Iraq. right?
We did.
That should be on his tombstone.
Well, you see, many people, and I can see I'm looking at the comments that are coming in, and I'll bring you into the conversation properly after the break, but lots of people will never forget. It doesn't matter. Anything else that Tony Blair goes on to do, no one, many people simply will not ever get over the situation when it comes to the Iraq war. But of course, one of the things that Aaron's just alluded to it as well, that he seems to have a bit of a hand in is digital ID. Keir Starmer lamenting today that actually, it could be used for many things and not just illegal migration. Bet you didn't see that coming. See you in a sec.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dewbs & Co. with me, Michelle Dewberry, Kelvin McKenzie and Aaron Bastani. Well, we were just talking about Tony Blair. And, of course, when I think of Tony Blair, one of the things I think about is digital ID. Our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, reckons, of course, that we're going to have this thing mandatory because he wants to clamp down on illegal migration. If you believe that, you believe anything, quite frankly. Anyway, he was speaking out about this. This was in response to a question put to him by GB News. Take a listen.
Here in India, I think it's 1 billion people have digital ID. It's been taken up on a voluntary basis in huge numbers, not least because it means that you can access your own money, make payments so much more easily than is available with others. So I think now we need to go out and make that case of the huge benefits that this will bring.
Kelvin, what do you think? I mean, I'm half laughing. One of the reasons I'm laughing, I can't lie, is because of a message that Matthew, one of my viewers, has just sent in response to that. It's a very serious topic, so I shouldn't laugh, but in response to that Gaza situation, Matthew's just got in touch and said, Sir Keir Starmer will be really pleased about this peace deal because the sausages will be freed. So I was just looking at that comment as I came to you, because do you remember that unfortunate misslip that Keir Starmer said? Anyway, back to digital ID. Go on.
So what was quite clear is that when he said that this will help stop illegal migration, everybody piled in and said, no, it won't. The illegals don't have any form of ID.
But did you believe that? You didn't believe that,
No, I didn't, but everybody piled in. And actually, the Labour Party, as far as I understand it, the Parliamentary Labour Party are actually saying we wouldn't vote it through either. So now it's been changed to, effectively, it'll be a government number, which you can then put in when you apply to schools, and it'll save a lot of paperwork, or your doctors, or any state organisation, and then hopefully any private organisation. Honestly, we don't need it for that reason. If that's the reason, which has now become, oh, you're not going to accept it stops migration. Oh, well, by the way, I buy that now. Actually, how about if you have to have this number in order to operate your life? And I would have thought there was less reason for that than for the migration. And therefore, it sounds to me as though the same thing that happened under the Blair years, where it disappeared at the end, this will also disappear at the end of... So it won't happen, and it will get to 2028, and there'll be more urgent things to go through Parliament, and that will be the end of that. Which, and by the way, did you get that point that he made in his address there to the GBNews guy, saying that actually it's voluntary? I didn't realise that.
No, he was on. No.
Was
he was on about. So he's in India. So what he's talking about there is he's saying that there's about 1 billion people in India that have basically taken this up voluntarily.
Yeah. Correct.
Here, the impression is that it will be mandatory. I think that is so disgraceful.
Yeah.
How dare you? Because this was not in their manifesto, by the way, to make this mandatory for people. I think it is so disgusting. If you're down with digital ID and you want to do that, fill your boots. But most people, I saw a comment the other day, more in common was the poll, 31% of people, they said, were still in favour of mandatory digital ID. Aaron Bastani, your thoughts?
Yes, I think there was a plurality, or a slim majority was in favour until about 3 or 4 months ago. And then you put the meat on the bone, you hear about Tony Blair being involved, and you hear about how deep it goes and cassette sheet. No thanks, Gov. In theory, I can see an ID card working, right? Benefit fraud, ID theft, convenience. It's crazy you have to walk around with a water bill to, get credit for a new car or whatever. I get that. But that's not what we're talking about. You're right, by the way, about the illegal migration stuff. It's not going to make the slightest difference on that. But it will have other use cases.
But why would they start off with that as their main argument?
Because they know that people are so frustrated with illegal migration
but if they knew
that they might go for
that was not an argument which could sustain beyond 12 hours, why bother?
Well, this is the thing. They do think people are thick. Because I saw somebody making the case for ID cards. It was Darren Jones.
Yeah.
He looks like an accountant.
Darren Jones.
He looks like an accountant.
The fellow that turned around and wanted people to think that the majority of people on those not-so-small boats were women and children. That Darren Jones.
Yeah. The same chap.
Yeah, exactly.
But he looks like an accountant, and there are lots of people... Some people want ID cards, lots of people don't, increasing numbers of people don't. They don't look at somebody like Darren Jones telling them what to think as an authority figure. That's not going to persuade them. And I think it really shows how out of touch this government is, that not only they're wrong on the policy, but also how they can persuade people about the wisdom of the policy. To go back to the actual idea, though, I could support it in theory. When you hear what Larry Ellison says about ID cards, how you could integrate transactions, how the government can monitor all the purchases you make of goods and services online, etc., how that would integrate with digital currencies, etc., you start to have a panic attack. It does feel like 1984. So I can see use cases, very limited ones. That's not what's on offer here. And finally, a company called Palantir, one of the companies that are in this world, say they will not work on ID cards because they know the next government, if that project starts, will stop it. They don't want that. It's bad business. So I agree with Kelvin. It's not going to happen.
But what I can't understand, it said that India managed to roll this lot out in 14 months. Now, my experience of the state involvement on anything And we only have to look at HS2 or even look at junction 10 on the M25, where they're trying to do a roundabout, which seems to have spent $500 million and taken 4 years to do it. This can't. I'm struggled to understand how this is going to be done before the next election. Or
I'm like a stuck record on this. So if you've watched this programme, you will have heard me wheel out this case study before. But Tony Blair, one of the biggest public sector IT failures in the history of the UK, depending on what metric you use and what cost you put in it, it cost us taxpayers something about £10 billion. It was so bad. It was aimed at the NHS. It was so bad. And I don't trust the public sector officials to be able to, one, build this system, two, manage and maintain and keep this system safe, and three, I don't trust their intentions for such a system. Many of you will get in touch, and I can see you doing it now, saying, what's the problem, Michelle? We already hand our data over left, right and centre. Yes, but that is a choice, my friends. You can choose to have your loyalty cards. You can choose to do this. You can choose to do that. This is about mandatory. It's a completely different system. Dennis says, Michelle, my wife already has absolutely no problem accessing my money in my bank account. If digital ID is going to make this any easier, he says, I'll be skint in an absolute nanosecond. I completely hear you. Many of you, though, I mean, Martin says, this ID card will just never even get off the ground. He says the country will go skint before he sees it happening. You won't have to wait very long, I can tell you that. Anyway, look, the conversation will continue after the break. If you are off sick when you go to your doctor, should there be work coaches there to try and get you back to work? Yes, in the doctor's surgery. I'll see you in a minute.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Some unsettled weather across eastern areas of Spain. Storm Alice is set to bring heavy showers and also some thunderstorms. Mostly dry and settled across Madeira and also Tenerife, but all eyes on eastern areas of Spain. Some intense thunderstorms here likely to bring some localised flooding. A few showers across parts of Sardinia on Friday, but elsewhere, once again, mostly dry and settled. Plenty of sunshine, and this theme will continue over into the weekend with warm temperatures too, widely in the mid to high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It is a largely cloudy night out there with a few spots of rain in places, but there will be some cloud breaks, and then increasingly so on Friday we'll see brighter skies develop. High pressure is moving in. That doesn't necessarily mean clear skies or indeed entirely dry weather. We do have a lot of thick cloud coming in at the same time, and that will continue to bring some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, particularly for the north and west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, North West England and North Wales. Away from these areas, actually, a few cloud breaks, particularly towards the northeast and also the southwest, and in the southwest with light winds, temperatures dipping in a few shelter spots into the mid-single figures, a few mist and fog patches first thing. But the best of the sunshine during the morning will be eastern Scotland. Now for Shetland, outbreaks of rain from the word go, and a few spots of rain continuing for the northwest Highlands, but mostly dry across the rest of Scotland, and plenty of sunshine through the central belt as well as eastern parts. The cloud broken up well across northeast England as well, but actually for the Midlands, Wales as well, we've got a weak weather front lingering here, bringing thicker cloud and some drizzly rain from time to time. That's going to drift its way south, and that means that southern parts will be cloudier compared with Thursday. And after any mist and fog lifts across the southwest, I think we keep generally cloudy skies. Brighter skies will develop further north across much of Scotland, northern England and North Wales, and where we do get that brightness, temperatures reaching 17 or 18 Celsius. Then into the weekend, we start with, again, a few mist and fog patches, but plenty of dry and fine weather for many. Best of the sunshine this time, Wales, the Midlands, eastern England, eastern Scotland. Western Scotland turning increasingly grey and damp through the day, and into Sunday, well, it's very similar. High pressure holds on, a lot of cloud around, but some sunshine in places.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. Drive safely as the A9 is restricted at Broxton Roundabout due to a traffic collision. On the M4 westbound between junctions 39 and 41, heavy congestion continues to cause delays. In Manchester, the M56 westbound has a broken vehicle between junctions 6 and 8, with one lane closed. On the A38 westbound nearing Plymouth, an overturned vehicle keeps all lanes closed, causing significant delays. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast services face disruptions between Watford Junction and London Euston. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello everybody, Dewbs & Co with me, Michelle Dewberry, alongside me, former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie, and co-founder of Novara Media, Aaron Bastani. A little bit later on in the programme, I shall be opening Dewberry Tavern. I'll celebrate my birthday. Tell me if it's yours. Phil, you got in touch and said you should never celebrate your birthday because you're celebrating your death and you're registering your ageing. Blimey, you sound like a lot of fun, Phil. Thank you very much for that. I've got to tell you, lots of response to that situation in the Middle East when it comes to Donald Trump and the peace plan. Diana says Donald Trump absolutely deserves to win that peace prize. Prior to Donald Trump, she says, no one even seemed to have the ability to even get both sides around the table. Lana says, Michelle, only once the hostages are released, only then and only then I will believe that this is actually happening. John says Donald Trump needs to sort out Ukraine and Russia too. Then if he succeeds, he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. You're a harsh man, John. He has actually been trying to do that, you know. I think he said he would do it in a day, didn't he, originally? But even he has conceded that Putin is slightly more difficult than he imagined. Anyway, are you on sick? Because if you are, next time you go to the doctors, you might find yourself face-to-face with a job coach. This is the latest plan to try and get people back into work by 2030. Kelvin, what do you think to this?
I think this is right up there with digital ID cards, to be honest. Look, you are one of the issues we have in our country right now is that so many people are sick, and there's so much health-related unemployment, which means that there is actually the only reason we don't have a massive unemployment number in our country right now is I think it's about 4.4 or 4.5 or something like that. Instead of that being 6.8 or 8%, which would be nightmarish, is because there are so many people claiming health-related benefits, and to the point where you can almost earn as much money on health-related benefits as you can on the minimum pay now that it's around about £13.40 or whatever it is. So I honestly, the idea of a state employee whose job it is to try and persuade people who are sick in order to try and help them in some way, to put them into work, sounds like a good idea. I guarantee you those people will be going off sick. They won't be being replaced. And I regret to say, because I'd like to see all this change, I can't see it working. The only thing that will work, I'm afraid, is tough love. And I'm not the person to be there, because I would be not believing anybody who said they were suffering from depression or anxiety. So I don't know what...
Don't you believe that depression and anxiety exist?
I do, but I don't believe that the answer is sitting at home all day watching Escape to the Country.
Don't you? Aaron?
I'm probably a bit of a softer touch than Kelvin, but I have to agree that... almost certainly am, aren't I? But I have to agree that if you do suffer from depression or anxiety, having a schedule, having work, getting up...
Having a purpose.
Having a purpose, having money to spend. It's pretty miserable if you've got no money. Mm-hmm. These are all really positive things. I do also agree that, look, this could work. Do a pilot. Let's see if it makes any sense. But I'm inclined to agree that, look, people go to the GP to get better. And you want them to get better because then, of course, they can do all the things we're talking about, go to work and contribute and whatnot. I am very wary of saying, have this other person with this other purpose being at the GP to help these people go into work. We have a place where people do that already. It's called the Job Centre. People should interface with that. It should help them get back into work. And I think this is just fluff, and this is just the state creating new jobs, creating new functions, and actually the return on investment is very low. I'm on the left. I think the state can do really good stuff, but it means you need to be very judicious about what it can and can't do, where it can and can't do it. And this, to me, sounds just like one of those fluffy things that well-meaning politicians do, and this is a genuine problem that should be resolved, but it's just not effective, and it's just a good press release.
You see, I mean, I do believe that anxiety and depression exist as conditions. I do.
Yeah.
But I also do
I think
believe...
we've all got them. We all have them. I don't care who you are, whether you're the Prime Minister or you're running Manchester United or you're doing something like that. There are moments when you're feeling really down and you're feeling really anxious about it. But the idea is not to go and get yourself signed off for 18 months or something. That will only get worse, I'm afraid.
We've medicalised emotions, haven't we? Because to be human is to not be OK all of the time. It is, you're not all... If you think you're going to skip through life thinking that you're in, I don't know, the Sound of Music or whatever, and that everything you're going to listen to birds whistling, and that is not life. And if that's what you're expecting, you're in for a short, sharp shock. So I do think that actually...
But we have millions now. We have millions who are either... Look, PIP is a serious issue, right? But we have a health-related benefit system is so bad that even the Labour Party tried to do something about it, and they were told, we're not going to do anything about it by the Parliamentary Labour Party. They were basically voted down. So I want to know how this is ever going to change. What is going to happen to our nation? Does everybody start working out, actually, do you know what? I can have a very poor standard of life, but a standard of life by being on health-related benefits. And that is what worries me, especially among young people.
Well, this is the key point. So if you look at people who are on sickness or disability benefit who aren't in work, for whatever reason, we can say mobile phones, social media, COVID, there has been a spike amongst younger people, particularly in their mid-20s in recent years. And that's really counterintuitive, right? Because that's when you should be really fit and healthy and ready to take on the world. And I think we absolutely need to address that. You know, is this how you do that? I suspect not.
Yeah, and I mean, we've spoken about this before. I was diagnosed with suicide ideation, and I'm telling you now, I would not, if you don't believe that depression exists, you could live in my mind. When I went through that, it was horrendous. It
what
was
age were you?
Absolutely horrendous. Oh, God, I had that for years and years and years, a decade plus.
Right.
Decade plus. And I would have done anything to die. I would have done anything to die. And I just didn't realise that I was not quite right upstairs. I was ill, but I see it now, but I didn't see it at the time. And thank God I'm out of that space. I'd now do anything to live, let me tell you that for free. But it was awful. It was awful. But I always tried to get myself out, to get myself out, because the moment that you actually succumb to that and you stay in bed and you just, you know, you're wallowing, for me personally, those kind of things get worse.
You say that, you're a boss, and somebody comes to you and says, I'm not right. One of your colleagues, one of your employees comes to you and says, I'm not right, I've got mental health issues and whatever. Unless you are prepared to basically say, I'm very sorry to hear that, what can I do for you? And basically go through private health insurance or something like that. If your reaction is at all like mine is on this show, the next thing that will happen, you'll be at an employment tribunal and it'll be costing you 100,000 quid. It is ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you what is depressing, according to Phil anyway, not according to me, getting older. We'll open Dewberry Tavern after the break. I want to talk to you about extending pub hours. That apparently is one idea to help boost the hospitality industry. Personally, I just want a Prosecco because it's my birthday. I'll see you in a minute.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live, every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Dewberry Tavern. That's like what I want to call it. It's open for one night only. It's not normally open on a Thursday, but today it's a very, very special occasion. It is my birthday.
It's their 50th.
Yeah, what? No, it's not 50th. Thank you very much. That's Kelvin McKenzie piping in. Aaron Bastani, hello to you. Cheers.
Happy birthday, Michelle.
Happy birthday. And
you,
cheers. Happy birthday. Now, Mary, happy birthday to you. Barry, he says it's my 66th birthday today and I'm just retiring, so happy retirement and happy birthday to you. Laura, it's your birthday. Colin said it was my birthday on Tuesday. Can I still get a shout out? Yes, you can. Pat says it's not my birthday, but it is my grandson Oscar's birthday and he was 6. Someone else got in touch from Blackpool. I am so sorry. You've told me you're in hospital. You've been in hospital for 18 days. You're watching us tonight and it is your son Jay's birthday and he's watching as well. And I can't find your tweet now to give you your name, but I did read it. Thank you very much. And Ashley said, it's not my birthday, Michelle, but I have been married 45 years today. So you can get a shout out for that. So cheers to all of us.
Yep.
And 45 years married.
Cheers.
I can't even imagine
amazing,
that. Cheers, everybody.
Well, so have I, but to different women.
I was just about to say, I don't think you've been married for 45 years to one. I mean, I'm not spoiling any secrets, am I?
No, you're not. No.
Anyway, the reason we've got a pub going is not just to indulge me, although I wouldn't mind doing that, but also there's been conversations today. We know that the hospitality industry is on its knees. Now there's proposals that pubs, clubs, restaurants and the like will be able to stay open until the early hours. This is to try and get a boost and to revive the hospitality sector. What do you think to that? Is it a good idea or not?
Well, it would be a good idea if it worked, but can I just say right now, the very reverse is going on. Round my way, actually, pubs are closing earlier because customers aren't staying late. They're getting there earlier, and then round about 7:30, many of them the pubs are just emptying. And they're actually reducing the hours of the hourly paid workers in the pubs because they don't need them they don't even really need them till 11 o'clock anymore. They could call them a day. Look, individual bars probably doing fine. OK, the pubs are really struggling. I don't believe this is the solution. Look, if somebody with a bigger economic handle on what is happening in our country believes that opening these pubs up later will work for them, fine. But I actually, from my experience of the pubs around my way, actually, if they wanted to do that, they would have already tried to do it, and many of them are struggling even to stay open till 11 o'clock.
Aaron?
Let's say something nice about the government for once.
Oh, blimey.
I can't do that, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Even if 1 in 20 pubs benefit from this, you know, they're doing well, they've got decent, you know, returns, they've got decent margins, and this is going to improve their profits by 10%. Good luck to them. What I would say is there are people poo-pooing this, saying that it's going to create more antisocial behaviour, and of course it will. And guess what? That's where the police come in. Because if somebody breaks the law, what's meant to happen is that the police enforce the law and punish the person that breaks the law.
Come off it. The police are not going to come if there's antisocial behaviour because they're too busy looking at who's tweeting what.
Well, this whole attitude, and it's in the response to this proposal of, oh, well, we can't do this because some bad stuff will happen, infuriates me.
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. If anybody, but what they should do then is offer all these places the opportunity to stay open later without having to go through a lot of bureaucratic nonsense, applying for extra licences and all the rest of it. So there's a blanket. You can do this.
Well, I'm just wondering.
My bet is, OK, all right, I live in the Weybridge kind of Esher area. Actually, the pubs are not doing well. And that is not to do with ours. It's the fact that people's attitude towards drinking and also the price of it. I mean, we've got glasses of Prosecco here. I bought for my brother the other day a large glass of Malbec. That won't have been the first one he had that day, right? And it was, I think, if I get this right, it was 14 quid. Right? Well, you could buy 2 bottles of that, actually, Tesco's. It may be rubbish wine, but I don't know whether this was. A decent night's out drinking, I don't drink, but a decent night drinking is a very expensive operation, and I'm not sure people right now want to spend it in that way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, actually, when was the last time that for no reason whatsoever, I mean, it's hard now because I've got a child, so I can't just spontaneously just go out on a night out to the pub. I'm going out on Sunday, though, after everybody. I'm going to somewhere called Bongo Bingo. Other places are available.
They're supposed to be fun, that. Is that the one where they're dancing and all the rest of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will be doing my little bit to chip into the hospitality sector, I can tell you that, for free.
But, Aaron, you've got kids, haven't you? Right. Can you go out to the pub? Or do you?
I'm not a huge drinker. I like to have a couple of pints in a pub because of the experience.
Yeah. But you're gone early and back home, aren't you?
Weekday, they shut at like 10:30. I mean, if it was open at 11:30, once in a blue moon, I probably would go in. I mean, I'm in Pompey, and what's really interesting is that lots of pubs are dying, but the really popular ones have never been more popular, and I think they're going to really like this.
Okay. Well, there you go. Speaking of nights out and all the rest of it, we've got to go because it's almost time for this programme to finish. Penny and Ed, you've just had a toast with us all. You said that we've made you smile tonight. I really do appreciate that. I also appreciate Chris because he says I look young enough to be on the GB News graduate scheme. I'll take that. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night now.
Cheers.
Take care. Cheers.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It is a largely cloudy night out there with a few spots of rain in places, but there will be some cloud breaks and then increasingly so on Friday we'll see brighter skies develop. High pressure is moving in. That doesn't necessarily mean clear skies or indeed entirely dry weather. We do have a lot of thick cloud coming in at the same time, and that will continue to bring some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, particularly for the north and west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, North West England and North Wales. Away from these areas, actually, a few cloud breaks, particularly towards the northeast and also the southwest, and in the southwest with light winds, temperatures dipping in a few shelter spots into the mid-single figures, a few mist and fog patches first thing. But the best of the sunshine during the morning will be eastern Scotland. Now for Shetland, outbreaks of rain from the word go and a few spots of rain continuing for the northwest Highlands, but mostly dry across the rest of Scotland, and plenty of sunshine through the central belt as well as eastern parts. The cloud broken up well across northeast England as well, but actually for the Midlands, Wales as well, we've got a weak weather front lingering here, bringing thicker cloud and some drizzly rain from time to time. That's going to drift its way south, and that means that southern parts will be cloudier compared with Thursday. And after any mist and fog lifts across the southwest, I think we keep generally cloudy skies. Brighter skies will develop further north across much of Scotland, northern England and North Wales, and where we do get that brightness, temperatures reaching 17 or 18 Celsius. Then into the weekend, we start with, again, a few mist and fog patches, but plenty of dry and fine weather for many. Best of the sunshine this time, Wales, the Midlands, Eastern England, Eastern Scotland. Western Scotland turning increasingly grey and damp through the day, and into Sunday, well, it's very similar. High pressure holds on, a lot of cloud around, but some sunshine in places.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Motorists on the A10 should exercise caution due to severe winds on the A9 Kessock Bridge. A vehicle fire on the M4 westbound has closed lanes between junctions 28 Tredegar Park and 29 Castleton, causing delays. Traffic is halted on the A12 northbound in Essex due to a vehicle fire between junctions 23 and 24, with lanes closed. In Plymouth, the A38 westbound is blocked by an overturned vehicle between the A3121 and the A374, causing lengthy delays. And on the trains, disruptions affect passengers between Watford Junction and London Euston. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewbs, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism.